Reserve Bar is the online source of premium and luxury spirits, wine and champagne. Visit reservebar.com to create the perfect home bar or have the ideal gift delivered. It's also where you'll find the best in new and hard to find bottles and those celebrity spirits you've been wanting to try. And for me, well, I was a guinea pig for the Reserve Bar sponsorship for our program. I took one for the team and said, yes, I'll go online, place an order and sample their service. And I decided that the only way to experience Reserve Bar fully would be to order a bottle of Veuve Clicquot 2012 Vintage Blanc. Yes, I'll test this service to see if it lives up to its hype, and guess what? It does. But there's a whole lot more than just champagne. Reserve Bar has it all, including spirits, wines, and mixes for cocktails. Also, Reserve Bar offers the Cocktail Lounge, your online source for inspiring new cocktail recipes and the stories behind your favourite brands. And to top it off, Reserve Bar also has all the glassware and mixing tools you need. Visit reservebar.com today and use promo code NODUNKS to save $10 off your purchase of $75 or more on spirits, wine or pre-made cocktails, but only when you use our special offer at reservebar.com with code NODUNKS. That's reservebar.com and code NODUNKS. This offer expires December 31, 2021.
Oh, welcome in, basketball fans. This is preview 4 of 5 for the 21-22 NBA season. I'm Tass Mellis. No J.E. Skeets. He's out hiking somewhere in the wilderness. But with me to talk ball is the bearded one, Trey Kirby.
Hey-o.
Hey-yo. The international man of mystery, Leos.
Friends.
Leigh. And the man making the magic happen, as always, it's JD.
Hello.
What's up, JD? So we've got lots to get to today. We got most improved player, the team most likely to disappoint, our favorite league pass teams. We're talking fantasy for a little bit. Who are we? It should be fun. Make sure you check out our other 3 parts that we've already done. We're going to finish up on Friday for part number 5. Follow us on social media. We've got a TikTok account that's TikToking every day. Magic happened over there. It's mostly Leigh saying stuff.
Yeah, it's the Leigh Ellis quote of the day at this point. I mean, yesterday, I feel like we almost skipped by the fact that you threw an impromptu concert after a Fatboy Slim concert for, it sounded like 20,000 fans. And that didn't even make the cut, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that was just kind of a normal part of the show that went in.
Yeah. I mean, 20,000 is probably a bit much. I'd say probably 10 to 15 dudes who have, had been popping pills and were off their tits, but it's fine. You got to start small. As JD knows, JD has actually been in a band out of us, so he knows you start small, and then you get bigger and bigger. And, it was a lot of fun. I did feel like Freddie Mercury there, just for like 60 seconds of my life.
Speaking of starting small, we're starting small with our No Buffs feed. We've got a new feed for No Buffs, recapping every episode of Survivor. So go check that out. Separate podcast feed, separate YouTube feed. Do your boys a favor and subscribe wherever you listen or on YouTube, because the guys are going to recap an episode from last night, which was phenomenal. Later today, Trey, JD, and Jason Concepcion are going to get on the horn to talk about that episode of Survivor. Some freaking curveballs there. Are you guys excited to talk about that or what?
Oh, totally. That was an awesome episode, and I'm glad we're plugging it right now during NBA talk, because there was a little bit of NBA trash talk during last night's Survivor episode as well. So if you're a fan of this show, you're a fan of Survivor. It was the perfect Venn diagram.
Yeah, there's a lot of wannabe finger rolls out there during the challenges. Yeah, what's up with that? Some bad shooting, because they've got those volleyball kind of basketball-y things. What's inside those? Like, is it just a volleyball of tape? Like, it's
probably coconuts. Let's be honest.
Right.
Rolled up coconut. Yeah.
Yeah.
Double challenge day. That was fun. Okay, so let's jump into today, because we start with a bit of a banger, I think. First question, Trey, what do you think of this one? Which team is the most likely to disappoint this coming NBA season?
I don't know if I feel comfortable calling this a disappointment because I think the team could actually be better this season than last season. However, I think it's more likely that the Suns do not return to the conference finals than they return to the conference finals just like they did last year, eventually making it to the NBA finals. Basically, the same team is coming back for Phoenix this year. They added JaVale McGee, Elfrid Payton, Landry Shamet, Dario Saric is going to be out for a while here. Javon Carter went to the Nets, but those are all kind of guys on the periphery who will certainly be useful at some points. But for the most part, we're looking at the same team. They played at a 58-win pace last year, and they certainly peaked heading into the playoffs, and then they kept that going in the playoffs. However, in the playoffs, a lot of help for the Suns making it to the conference finals. Their first-round matchup against the Lakers, they were banged up. Both AD and LeBron not at 100%. They win that series. Phoenix goes on to play the Denver Nuggets. No Jamal Murray, who had been out since earlier in the season. They win that series pretty easily, to be quite honest. Then they meet up with the Clippers, who ended up missing Kawhi Leonard. Those are massive stars for all of their opponents who happen to be out. Shout out to the Suns. They took care of business each and every time, clearly outclassing those teams who happen to be missing their players. You can only play who's in front of you, but it definitely is something to notice when you're looking at this team. Like I said, they were great last year, and they were great health-wise in the regular season as well. Their top four, Mikal Bridges, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and Devin Booker, none of those guys missed 5 or more games. That's incredible health, especially in a season last year where multiple players for multiple teams were missing big chunks of the season due to COVID protocols. So they had great health of their own in the regular season, and then come postseason, they got some health luck, no doubt about it. Though, I mean, Chris Paul went down with an injury, and the Suns were still able to take care of business. I assume that the Suns will be a little bit better this year just because year 2 of the Chris Paul experiment. Obviously, this team has been together now for 2 seasons after they had the bubble run where a lot of the same guys were still around. They're going to have that internal growth. They're going to have, just an extra year of playing together and knowing what each other likes. But progress isn't always linear. Look at a team like the Portland Trail Blazers, who made a run to the conference finals and have won 3 playoff games since. I'm not saying that's going to happen with Phoenix. I'm just saying they might run into a tougher road come playoff time. Furthermore, you've got the DeAndre Ayton, the Mikal Bridges contract thing kind of hanging over the team. What are they going to do? How big of deals are these guys going to sign? And are they going to get it done before the season actually starts? I don't know. I don't foresee a disease of me sort of thing taking down the Suns this year, but it could just be that they end up playing against a team that happens to be peaking. They could play against this year's Phoenix Suns and get knocked off in the playoffs. I would not bet on the Suns making it back to the finals, and certainly not the conference finals, and definitely not the finals.
Wow.
Yeah, it's rare for a team to go from having not made the playoffs for years to all of a sudden 2 wins away from the championship. So, to repeat that level is going to be tough because the Suns, they probably did sneak up on teams last year. We know that can be a factor. I mean, they earned everything when they got to the playoffs. They absolutely, defeated their opponents, on merit. But now it's like, okay, teams are looking at the Suns. They've got them, they're scouting them a little bit more and like, okay, we got it. This team is good. This team is legit. We know what they're expecting. So now, Devin Booker, for example, who a lot of his career has been a talented player and put up numbers. Now teams like, well, okay, now he's had a taste of playoffs. He wants to get back there. So they're going to find, I think, teams coming at them a little bit harder than perhaps they had done in years gone by. And Chris Paul, I mean, he was brilliant for them last year, but he's another year older. And if he can perform to the same level he was at last year, I think the Suns are fine. But, no one's Superman. No one can go on forever. So there's a few questions there about just whether or not you can repeat the performance of last year for Phoenix. But I expect them to finish top 4 still in the Western Conference. But it's that doesn't automatically mean you get back to the finals. So that's not a bad pick. I mean, you have to have expectations in order to disappoint. And I think for the Suns, anything less than a top 4 finish will be a little bit of a disappointment for them.
But Trey, you're definitive. Not making the finals, unlikely to make the conference finals. So you got to have other teams on the dome that are going to make the conference finals, and at least 2, 3 even, right?
Yeah, I mean, I picked the Lakers to win the West yesterday, so chalk them into the conference finals at this point. Like I said, not super enthused, and I do think the Suns will be one of the top 3 teams. I just think most likely they don't make it back there. I think the Jazz are the other team that's in the top 3 mix, along with the Suns, and just like Phoenix, the Jazz have been playing together for a long time too. We know that they are going to be a solid regular season team. And then come playoff time, Donovan Mitchell goes to Dwayne Wade levels a lot of the time. His usage rate gets into the high 30s, teetering right near their 40. He can put up a 50-point game any night. Obviously, Phoenix has that kind of player too in Devin Booker. Chris Paul will show up in the playoffs as he always does. It's just going to be tough for the Suns. Like Leigh is saying, they've got a target on their back now, which was not the case last year.
Yeah, and you touched on Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker there. I think when you say that, that's one of the reasons nobody really wants to elevate either of those teams, because those two guys, as incredible as they are, they're not top 10 guys at this point. They just don't have the superstar cachet that the Lakers have, even the Clippers have when they're healthy, or I would even say that the Nuggets have. But the Nuggets and the Clippers start with injuries, so the Suns and the Jazz are really in that same family to me. Sure. And you said the Suns were on a 58 win pace last year. That's an incredible number when you think about it. Like, I understand that 60 win teams don't always win it all. And the Jazz were, just ahead of the Suns in that pace. And obviously the Jazz were bounced in round 2 last year. And I know everybody wants to talk about the Lakers, and I mentioned the Clippers, and I mentioned the Nuggets, but I think it's fairly even. And I think you're saying that too, Trey. Like, we are going to get to a playoffs where the Lakers aren't just the team that's going to get there. There is a chance that they disappoint too. So I'll jump in before you go, Leigh, because I think the Lakers to me are the team, especially early, that could disappoint, because there's some ingredients there which could lead to a bit of a slow start. And it's not just that they're the slowest or oldest team in the league, average age of nearly 31 years of age. Next oldest is the Heat at 28.8. Because old people, they do start things slow, right? They got to get the knees greased, the elbows greased to get going. And Russell Westbrook starts slow. The last couple of years, especially with Houston 2 years ago, it was better last year. But remember last year with the Washington Wizards, we were watching him put the ball like off his leg and out of bounds to start the year. Like he just didn't have it together. But then obviously he had an incredible, January, February, March. It started to turn even after a brief slow start. So I think that could happen. I wonder if Anthony Davis plays center for this team a lot. He did have a brunch with LeBron and Russell Westbrook and said, "It's my time. It's my time to play center, because that's going to help Russell Westbrook as a non-shooter on this team to open it up." But they have Dwight Howard. They went and got DeAndre Jordan, who should be more of a locker room guy, but I imagine they're going to start those guys, or at least one of them, I should say. And if Anthony Davis plays a lot of 4 with Dwight, Russ at the 1, LeBron, who's going to try and call the shots. You guys move here. You guys move here. Wayne Ellington is supposed to start at the shooting guard spot. That defense that was really good the last couple of years is going to start. So I think it's just going to take time for Frank Vogel and for Anthony Davis and for LeBron to just call things out, because there's just not a lot of youth on this team, especially with Taylor and Horton Tucker having surgery on his thumb. Kendrick Nunn is banged up. It should still be a top 4 team, as you guys are saying. And I think a lot is made about their age. Obviously, Westbrook, Rondo, Howard, Melo, DeAndre Jordan, Ariza, Ellington, Bazemore, some vets. But the Lakers didn't get much from their supporting cast last year. So I'm not sure how much worse they can be than Schroeder and Drummond and Harrell and Gasol and Matthews and Kuzma. These guys just didn't perform. Malik Monk's going to have a lot on his shoulders. And I think the fact that they're taking a flyer on a guy like Sekou Doumbouya, who is just an athletic wing, who only had 2 years with Detroit and got cut, I think that kind of shows you, I guess he'll be sort of in that Kostas Adetokounmpo role, like just the throw him out there and hope he plays defense for you guys. Yeah. Like they're kind of desperate for guys to play. So I think slow start maybe, and of course, when LeBron and AD get serious, a top 4 finish at the end of the day. Leigh, who you got?
Yeah, well, I'm going with another team who had a really good season last season, but now it's that sort of second year. And it's interesting because the New York Knicks won 41 games last year out of 72-game season. But yesterday when we did our over-unders, this was another team I was going to address, because Vegas has only got them at 41.5 wins, which surprises me because, they had a very strong regular season, a great defense, but Vegas, I guess, is just not feeling that they're actually any better than they were last season. In fact, you could probably argue Vegas thinks they're probably worse if they're only projected to win, 41.5 there. And look, Julius Randle was fantastic last season. I think you're going to see Emmanuel quickly become better. RJ Barrett, I expect him actually to have, almost that sort of breakout season. So I think there's some good pieces there, but I'm also just not sure how much better they are, if they are better at all, or if they're just sort of solid again. And we know that Coach Thibodeau, he has a reputation for being a successful first season coach, but time's gone by in Chicago and they're in Minnesota, his way of coaching can sometimes rub his own players up the wrong way. He's that sort of old school guy, the disciplinarian. And so will that have an effect on the Knicks team this season? I think they're, in that same sort of spot they were last season, 4 to 6 range. But I also can see perhaps the wheels coming off a bit if things don't go right for the Knicks. Kevin Knox is in an interesting stage of his career. They picked him up a few years ago, hasn't really been able to find a role, has shown some flashes here in preseason. They sort of need someone like him to actually go out there and really provide a big role for them. So I'm not sure where the Knicks are right now, but I can kind of see last season as they rose and the Knicks were back, the Garden was rocking again, but perhaps it was only a one season sort of return. Perhaps they're sort of going to drop off a little bit more. I'm not sure. They're a weird team. I'm excited to see how they get back and start playing again. Again, Tibbs brought back his guys. He loves those guys, Taj Gibson and Derrick Rose. He's going to bring those guys back forever. So I don't, Evan Fournier, not sure he sort of really moves the needle for that team all that much. So the Knicks may be in sort of a bit of a battle again. They may drop down in the Eastern standings.
I think the Knicks are going to have a pretty solid floor, right? They're going to play defense. The games are going to be close. We know that maybe they're not as 100% locked in defensively as they were during the entirety of last season, but it's quite likely. Tibbs gets the buy-in defensively. And I think, year 2 isn't always as smooth as year 1, but it's definitely better than year 3. So I'm happy with year 2. So they'll probably still play that defense. The question becomes is if Julius Randle is going to be an all-NBA player again. And, the track record just isn't there yet. Last year, he was hitting Kobe Bryant shots basically for the whole season. Super contested mid-rangers, shot 40% from 3, really turned into the Julius Randle that people thought we might see when he was drafted really high. One of the best players I know coming out of high school, a high recruit for the University of Kentucky, and he really turned it around and looked awesome. And then in the playoffs, he kind of got shut down a little bit by John Collins with a little bit more, kind of denying him the ball and just making it impossible for him to get to his spots where he wanted to hit those crazy fadeaways. So you're not going to see that kind of defense every night against Julius Randle. And I think the Knicks did well by getting Fournier and Kemba Walker, even if they're not in their primes, even if they're, at the tail end of their career, at least somebody else who can handle the ball and get some shots. That being said, it all comes down to Randle and RJ Barrett. Barrett shot the ball a lot better this year. If he's able to increase his playmaking, that takes a lot of the pressure off Julius Randle as well. But when your team is kind of coming down to how far will Julius Randle take us, that's a tough question to answer at this point. Last year, he took him really far. Will we see that again this year?
Yeah, I do like, he's got help, as you mentioned there with Kemba and Fournier and RJ Barrett. He's improved every year, and his preseason mixtape, if they make those, it's all right this year. He looks good. He looks comfortable. I think what helps Julius Randle is those guys just, at least he can pass to somebody, because the playoffs against the Hawks, it was just him, and they had to bring Derrick Rose into the starting lineup because Elfrid Payton wasn't cutting it. But now they have guys who can shoot. Kemba's not going to be afraid to shoot. Obviously, Fournier won't be either, and RJ Barrett's ready to go. I think this team is going to be solid. They've improved, and I get that. Those names are past their prime, as you said there, Trey. But last year, there are 41 and 31 in a 72-game season. So that's about 46 or 47 wins in a full 82 like we're getting this year. And for their line to be 41 and a half, that's low. I don't know why. I don't know where the lack of enthusiasm, I guess, is because the names are Evan Fournier and guys and Kemba Walker, who we know is past prime. But I get the defense has to be good, and maybe you don't think of Kemba Walker as a good defensive player. But a couple of years ago with Boston, he was part of a really good defense. As long as he knows that he's not the old Kemba Walker, and Derrick Rose is going to play a lot of minutes, I'm buying that over 41.5. I
Yeah.
didn't even know that number. Just
Yeah, I definitely would take the over there. From somewhere closer, I think, to sort of 44, 45. But I guess you can sort of see it like being, 10 games below that as well. If Kemba's only out there for 45 or 50 games, if Julius is unable to sort of handle the extra pressure this season, and if they don't get the sort of growth and development from those younger guys. So, but like you say there, Trey, like that defense is kind of a really important staple, I think, for the Knicks. If they can keep that defense where it was last season, they're going to be in a lot more games. And then if they can close those out, they're going to pick up some of those closer wins. So it's interesting. It's the Knicks sort of came a little bit out of nowhere last season, but again, what we saw from them in the playoffs, it was like, this team is missing something, and I'm just not sure they addressed that fully in the offseason.
I just don't want Evan Fournier to have a lot of bad nights, because they're gonna on Twitter, the fans will be posting what Trey posted yesterday, that terrible image of him as a 2K player with with old googly eyes popping out. I wonder if 2K was just trying to get in the Google game a little bit more, because how Evan Fournier says, don't Google me because it's Fournier is gangrene disease, right? Is that what it is? Maybe they just want to get up in the images, because that image we're showing you on YouTube, I mean, that is going to be all over Twitter if he has some bad nights. I like how he doesn't have any more expectations on him, though. He went to Boston last year after being with Orlando. He signed 5 for $90, I think, with Orlando. That was, back in the day when everybody was signing those biggies in 2016. Now it's like, he's on the team. If he's just relied on to score 15 a game, then should be a solid team. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of teams in the mix there, in that sort of that second tier. Who's going to break out of it? Are the Hawks the best team of below the Bucks and Nets, and then the Heat, and then you get into the Knicks and Bulls and all those teams. So we talked about the teams there that could fluctuate expectations, high or low. But let's talk about somebody you're excited to watch night in and night out. The must-watch League Pass team. Leigh, start her up.
Well, this one's pretty easy for me, because this team only has, they have 8 games on national TV, but 4 are NBA TV. So do we count those? I'm not sure we do. It's the Charlotte Hornets for me. It's a pretty easy choice, because must-watch League Pass to me is not necessarily a team that is going to win a ton of games. It's who's fun to watch. And LaMelo Ball is one of the most exciting players to watch. And I love the addition of James Bouknight on that team. I love the commentary, of course. There, Eric Collins and Del Curry on the call. They're great. Those jerseys are great. The environment there is awesome. It's usually a 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off, which I also love to do. Look, I think I mean the Hornets are another team I'm expecting to take something of a step up this season. They were in playoff contention before LaMelo went down last season with that injury. So you're expecting the Hornets, if Gordon Hayward's as well, if he's injury-free. This is a good team. This is a solid team. They're certainly not a championship contender yet, but you can see a few of the pieces there as well in place. They've also got the wave puppy in Kelly Oubre Jr.'s there, so he's always exciting to watch.
The wave puppy or the wave poppy?
Well, he's got to have a dog.
Yeah.
Wave puppy.
They're certainly one of my favorite teams to watch, and a little surprised, to be honest, when I checked and saw they only have the 4 ESPN games. I thought that LaMelo would have brought a little bit more attention to that team, but I guess not just yet. So, but yeah, give me the Hornets. Always a great watch.
Is this the first time that a Zeller has been exchanged for a Plumlee? Cody going to Portland, and we got Mason coming to Charlotte. Yeah. Is anybody going to even notice?
Well, it's funny. I was going to bring up Mason, because he's good for some sort of crazy either highlight reel dunk or block or something out there. So he's going to give you something there, Mason, something worth watching anyway. But yeah, a Zeller for a Plumlee, a classic sort of like, let's just swap them and see if nobody knows. Won't even run this past the league. We'll just you just go and join that team. I'll stay here, and we'll see if anyone recognizes the difference.
It's funny you say that, Trey, because I saw Mason Plumlee on the team, and I said, they replaced another Plumlee with a Plumlee? Because I confused Cody Zeller with another Plumlee, just the standard white guy out there. But Cody Zeller, I think he might help a little in Portland. I don't know who would you rather have, a Mason Plumlee or Cody Zeller?
It's a really tough question, but it's a great alley-oop, because my League Pass team this year is the Portland Trail Blazers. I can't believe they only have 9 national television games. And while I am stoked to see Cody Zeller running around up there in Portland. It's all about Damian Lillard. They're only putting this guy on national TV 9 times. That is not enough for Lillard time. He had 6 40-point games last year, had a 50-point game, and that's not even counting all the numerous Lillard time moments where he's taken over in the fourth quarter, hitting big shots. He beat the Bulls off of a jump ball. It was crazy last year. I also like, Jordan Kent was great as the play-by-play guy, but Pacific Northwest legend is joining Lamar Hurd in the booth this year. Kevin Calabro used to be the Sonics guy. Now he's the Portland Trailblazers play-by-play. So you got that classic voice calling the games. I obviously love the look of the Trailblazers. They got solid uniforms year in, year out. They've got the reigning dunk contest champion in Anthony Simons making crazy decisions out there. But really, it all comes down to getting to watch Damian Lillard as much as possible. Not to mention there's so many solid Western Conference teams. I'm unlike Leigh. I like these late starts because I know I'm going to end up staying up too late anyways. So at least give me something exciting to watch out there on the West Coast.
Yeah, I like picking a West Coast teams because, just so I can get amped to stay up for those games. I agree. I do like your picks because I like the fact that their national TV games are low because you get more Kevin Calabro and Lamar Hurd, or in Charlotte's case, you get Eric Collins. I mean, that's half the fun is to hear him go freaking crazy for a layup or, for whatever. I mean, I think half the Hornets highlights on Twitter are just Eric Collins yelling. It's less about basketball. But those are solid picks. Actually, Skeets chimed in. He wanted to put his League Pass team in. He picked the Sacramento Kings. It's an interesting one. Also, only 6 national TV games. I guess he's amped to watch them for 76 games on League Pass. My pick is your Bulls, Trey. I think the drama is gonna just pull me in because the talent obviously ridiculously intriguing. So much talent when you really look at it. Zach LaVine, Vooch, All-Stars last year, DeMar DeRozan, a 4-time All-Star, Ball, Caruso in a different role, see what he could do. The team drama is kind of intriguing because they put so much into this iteration of the team, so much draft capital and money. I'm kind of getting my popcorn ready because you could see this team fall off. They could be a disappointing team, but they could also get some shine back, from even the Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah era. Like they could get, they could become a good Bulls team again. And I know everybody says the league is better off when the Knicks are good. I feel that way about the Bulls. It's just there's just something about having the red and white be good again. So I think that just sort of the drama. I think you can, you could put this on TV. You could have like a Hard Knocks with this team. There's so many personalities. I don't know if LeVar Ball is showing up, but Alonzo Ball, I think, it had created a little bit of controversy for me, anyways, because I'm not sure how he's going to fit in exactly. Because on media day, he said, "I'm going to go back to being a point guard because last year Stan Van Gundy in New Orleans took him off the ball a little bit. He was an off the ball shooter and more of a catch and shoot guy, and that could be his role a lot of the time. So I wonder how that's all going to work because Zach's going to have it so much. Obviously, DeMar's got to have it in his hands. I wonder how happy Lonzo Ball is going to be, and I wonder how happy Dad's going to be because he was pissed that Lonzo wasn't running the show in New Orleans and it was more of the Zion show. So it could go great. It could go bad because they're a small team, lack of depth up front, as we talked about. Daniel Tice gone, Thaddeus Young gone. But I'm intrigued to watch a week in. They play the Raps. So they got to smack
it's interesting. I think Zach is probably going to be the Bulls' leading scorer, but I can see him maybe only averaging, just over 20 a game because there are so many other guys who can score there. DeRozan, and of course, Vooch is going to want to get his. So I don't think you're going to have one of those guys just really sort of stand out. I think they're going to be sort of more an offense by committee, and if Lonzo can hit those threes, because he should get plenty of opportunity, plenty of open ones if that ball moves around. So they got plenty of different options on the offensive end. It's just whether or not they can keep it together on the defensive end. They've got a fairly big swing, I think, from where the Bulls can be. They're high to their low. I think at best top 4, at worst probably battling just to get into the play-in tournament again. I think, but at least they're going to be a bit more fun to watch this season.
Yeah, I saw 538's projections today had them at 38 wins, very close to where John Hollinger had them at 37 wins. But if you're talking about a league pass team, they're the perfect league pass team. All offense, no defense, and they're going to be the best dunking team in the league, without a doubt. They've got Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Derrick Jones Jr., not to mention Alex Caruso flying in every now and then. So yeah, from an objective standpoint, maybe the Bulls will be a mid-card team, but they're going to be high on the list of people wanting to watch them this year just because they're going to be an offensive powerhouse.
Ooh, I think I would pick the best dunking team is the Hornets myself, with Bridges, and Book Knight will get a little bit. But
I don't know that Book Knight's going to play. Everybody,
no, maybe not.
All of the Hornets' best players are guards. And they
Yeah.
drafted another guard this year. And they're hoping to bring back Gordon Hayward, who handles the ball. I'm excited to see him too. And they definitely got Miles Bridges. The ball to Bridges connection is huge, but there's a lot more guys for the Chicago Bulls ball to throw it to.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I'm thinking more flashy with the Hornets rather than dunks. I think the Hornets had second most dunks last year. I think Zach Lowe put that note in. But yeah, it's a good call. Dunkaroos happening with Chicago Bulls, and not a lot of D, that's for sure. We got to take a quick break here, but everybody in the stream team, get your thinking caps on, because we've got a question about the player that needs a good nickname. So get those puns working. We'll be back right after the break.
Hey, Skeets, I got to ask you a quick question here.
Sure.
We went on vacation together to Turks and Caicos a few weeks ago.
We did.
Would you say my body was the tightest, most ripped you've seen it since we've known each other?
100%.
Thanks.
100%. I don't even need to think about it.
Thank you for saying that. Otherwise, this ad read would be completely ruined. But it was all thanks to Peloton. Adrian Williams' Thunder Squad, Andy's Spearheads, and the yoga stylings of Aditi and Kira. With thousands of cardio and strength classes, Peloton makes it easy to make time to work out. Even if you've only got 15 minutes, you can start building fitness into your routine with just a few clicks. There's never been a better moment to commit to your fitness goals, because the original Peloton bike is now $400 less. But it's not just cardio. I love their body weight strength training classes. The power yoga is legit, and you can also work out your brain with guided meditations. That's wellness, y'all. With Peloton's all-access memberships, all you need is one subscription for the whole family. You get access to their entire class library, encouragement from their expert instructors, curated playlists, and artist collaborations that make it easy to work out at home. With classes for every level, there's something for everybody. Experience motivation like never before with the Peloton bike, now $400 less. Go to onepeloton.com to learn more. That's ONEPELOTON.com.
As we settle into the fall season, life is picking up again, thankfully, and we know that these days staying comfortable is at the top of everybody's list. When you lace up a pair of Allbirds wool runners, you're going to see that Allbirds, they've redefined what it means to be comfortable all day long. You guys know, I've talked about this before on the podcast, I'm always looking for what I like to call an outdoor slipper. Okay, people have their indoor slippers, but I'm not a fan of shuffling outside in your indoor slipper to take out the garbage or to grab something off the lawn or to run down to the corner store or something like that. That's weird, because then you're bringing your indoor slipper back indoors. It's been outside, it's dirty. So I like one that just chills on the front porch. That's why these bad boys are perfect as an outdoor slipper, at least in my world. I'm always in and out of the house, Leigh, and I want to be able to slip these on easily, and I want them to be comfortable, so when I go down to the corner store, I'm not killing my toes, not killing my dogs. So I'm thankful for my Allbirds wool runners. Yeah, man. And
Man's gotta protect his dogs.
I mean, I'm messing them up because I'm in and out, and I gotta put some rocks down by the side of my house because when it rains, it gets really muddy where the garbage is. So it's great that these are machine washable. They're easy to wear and they're easy to clean. They're breathable, they're comfortable, they're perfect for all day wear. And, I don't know, you tell me, they look pretty good too. They're designed to be like versatile here, stylish, a little neutral classic.
When are you going to cut the heel off? Because
I
slip
don't think I need to with these. No, I really can get my feet in very easily into these tasks.
It's true.
Bonus with Allbirds, carbon neutral company, thanks to sustainable practices like using natural materials and purchasing carbon offsets. So start the season off right with a pair of wool runners from Allbirds. Find your own pair of wool runners at allbirds.com today. That's ALLBIRDS.com.
We're back with No Dunks. I got to mention the stream team going nuts for the Trey Kirby Photoshop for that Peloton ad. It was Trey's face on a Peloton
Photoshop
instructor. Yeah, right. But those
JD and I did a photo shoot for yesterday so that we could run it in the ads today. Come on, Tass, are you seeing this? You seeing this line, buddy?
Wow.
You seeing that tiny little bit of a line? Hold on, I gotta manipulate the shadows a little bit. Come on, look at that.
You're Cody Ripsby right now. Cody, I think that was Cody Rigsby on the bike there, who's on Dancing with the Stars. He's a Peloton instructor. I don't know why I know he's on Dancing with the Stars, but yeah, Trey looking good there. I wanted to mention during your Peloton ad, you guys went on vacation. You guys were making sure you're getting in shape. I was disappointed I didn't see a topless photo on the beach. I saw there's a photo came up. You guys were on the beach. I was like, all right, we're gonna see Trey shirt off. Let's see this. I think he had a full shirt on.
That's right, Tass.
Wetsuit.
That's right, Tass. I worked out for 4 months. Then when we finally got to the beach, I wore long sleeves the entire time. I still like to keep this skin sunburn free. I actually had some regrets. I was like, come on, I wore a rash guard to the beach every single time we went down there. But, you know, when you're playing spike ball, you need a little bit of protection on the old elbows.
Oh, it helps. That helps for sure.
It does.
Okay, we're going to talk about something now that we never, ever talk about. Fantasy basketball. I want to know who your fantasy basketball sleeper pick is in a segment we call Fantasy Sleeper Corner. This segment is brought to you by the Sleeper app and its new fantasy basketball game called Game Pick. And if you haven't heard, we talked about it a little bit. You conduct a regular draft, however you like it, snake, linear, whatever. The difference is when you play Sleeper's Game Pick, you start the beginning of the week, and unlike other past fantasy games where you just play your guys the whole time, you can only pick one game for each of your guys. So it's not just about which team has the most games played that ends up winning. It's about strategy. It's about picking that one single game. It's called Game Pick on the Sleeper app. It's very, very strategic. And so that makes it fun for me. And it's less about like drop guys, pick guys up, drop guys, four to three. Like how many games does he have? I'm going to pick this guy 4 versus 2. Oh, I'm going to win. You know, it's less about the numbers and more about the feel of the game and trying to be a smart, old couch GM. So my pick, I'll start us off for a fantasy sleeper guy this year that I really like is Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Great name. Who does he play for, you ask? You may not know. He plays for the New Orleans Pelicans, but this is year 3 for him, and I expect this Canadian to take a jump because he's going to get more time. Lonzo Ball gone, Eric Bledsoe gone with the Pelicans. In are Thomas Satoransky, Devontae Graham, and Garrett Temple. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is different than all those guys that have come in. I think he can do it all. Those guys are a little bit more of a specialty guys, and he played 21 minutes per game last year. I think he's going to play 26, 28, even 30. I think he's going to force himself into the rotation. He developed over the summer. I mean, I get a little too hype for these video packs that come out and what he did in the preseason, but he's got it. He's got the step back. He's got the shot. He's been working on it. And it's not just what we've seen in camp, even though the Pelicans players, they're raving about it. On The Athletic, Will Guillory, a great column about what he's doing during the preseason. But he did it last year, too. Right before he got hurt in April, he had a 9-game stretch where he was kind of into the starting lineup for most of those games because Ball was out. 17.5 points, 5 rebounds. It's kind of surprising. I think of him as a small guy, but he's 6'6", shot 42 from the line, and shot 9 attempts from three-point line. So was that a flash in the pan? I don't think so because he went and played for Team Canada in the Olympic qualifying tournament this summer. I think he was the best player on the team, even though they have Andrew Wiggins and RJ Barrett. Almost 17 points a game on 45% shooting, so he's not going to hurt your field goal percentage. I believe in Nickeil Alexander-Walker taking the next step in year 3, like a lot of guys do in year 3 if they're going to be good. He's got the opportunity. I think David Griffin had that in mind when he let Lonzo Ball and Eric Bledsoe go. He also had money in mind because Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a lot cheaper. But that's where I'm going with. He's ranked about 154th on the sleeper app. So, on that.
Did you say he was at 42% from 3?
For that 9-game stretch, yeah. It was a stretch. It wasn't
Yeah, sure, but that would be
series.
huge. I mean, he's a career basically 35% three-point shooter, but, playing alongside some of the characters that the Pelicans have, he's going to need to be able to shoot if he's going to stay on the court. I remember Zion was asking for Nickeil Alexander-Walker to play a whole bunch more last year. It seems that they've cleared the way for him a little bit this year. So if he's able to knock down threes, that's a great pick.
All right. Who you got, Trey?
Well, the Rockets are going to be bad this season, but Christian Wood is good. Good Wood. Last year, 21 points per game, 9.6 rebounds, almost a steal, more than a block a game, shot 51% from the field, 37 from 3, and made 1.9 threes per game. Not bad for Christian Wood. The problems with Christian Wood would be he only played 41 games last season. He doesn't have a long track record of being a starting center coming from Detroit previously. Plus, you look at some of the guys that the Rockets have added since Christian Wood was really taken over at the beginning of the season. Kevin Porter Jr. is going to have the ball a ton. Jalen Green is going to have the ball a ton. Alperen Şengün is here in Houston, so he might cut into Christian Wood's production a little bit, but you're still basically getting Anthony Davis numbers at a Clint Capella price. Average draft position right now on the sleeper app for Christian Wood is about 51. He's like a 6th round pick, and he's going behind Andre Drummond a bunch, and Andre Drummond isn't even going to start. So I think you can get a pretty solid center in Christian Wood there in the middle rounds.
That's a good call. His numbers are forgotten about, I guess, because he played for the worst team in the NBA last year. But when he was healthy, there was some smattering of all-star talk. And,
a little
early on
smattering, early all-star talk.
Yeah, he had most improved talk. He had it all going there because, he basically was just putting up 20s and 10, but it was because it was the Rockets. It was, does this really count? Fantasy basketball, that's the only thing that counts. Just put up the numbers. No one cares about anything else.
Yeah, right. He's solid. He's just a solid player. They made a great pick there. And I agree. Those numbers are going to be good. So if you can sneak him in there a little early, Andre Drummond, it's just because people just pick Andre Drummond just because he's a name, right?
Yeah.
He's backing up in Philly. You're right.
Yeah, he's a backup, but I don't know. Maybe you assume Embiid will miss a little bit of time, and surely he's going to rebound. So maybe you're winning the rebound cat no matter what.
That's true. He gets his numbers, no doubt. He's a Hassan Whiteside of fantasy, I guess. Leigh Ellis, who are you taking as your fantasy sleeper pick?
Well, Tassie, I'm actually going with another New Orleans Pelican. That's Devontae Graham because he comes over from the Charlotte Hornets last season. The Pelicans signed him to that 4-year, $48 million contract. Now, if you look at purely numbers last season, they took a dip from his second season. He was down to 15 points a game from 18 points a game. He got injured as well there, and his minutes took a hit. But the reason why, I think, is quite obviously because LaMelo Ball came along and really became that starting point guard for the team. And they kind of realized that Devontae Graham, unless he's going to be a spot-up shooter, he's a little bit redundant in that position. His actual three-point shooting did increase last year, his percentages, even though he took about one less per game. But I think now there is a chance for him in New Orleans to get back to that level of what he was 2 seasons ago in Charlotte, around 18 and 6 assists there a game, because I think he's going to be their starting point guard. And again, if David Griffin, you sign a guy as a free agent, you don't really want to have him, in that second or third on your depth chart. I think he's going to be the guy starting, especially with Zion not playing the first couple of weeks or however long he's going to be out. There's going to be some more opportunities for guys to go out there and score. So I think Devontae Graham, we certainly don't put him in that elite category of point guards in the NBA, but in fantasy basketball, again, that stuff doesn't matter. It's just who's going to get out there and fill up the stat sheet for your team. And I think he's in a great situation. He's 26. Remember, even a couple of years ago, for him, there was some all-star buzz at one point in the season. I think he hit that, had a stretch where he was just hitting threes left and right. Didn't quite wasn't able to capitalize on that. But new situation, new coach, new team. And again, he's kind of like one of Griff's guys. So you expect that he's going to want him out there playing heavy minutes. He's going to take a lot of shots and should be able to bank plenty of those nice fantasy stats that makes it all so much fun and how we fall in love with guys.
Do you think he gets first crack at starting over Nickeil Alexander-Walker?
I do, yeah. I mean, I think he's going to be their starting point guard. I was looking at the depth charts there this morning. I'm like, yeah, I think it's his spot. I mean, we'll wait and see, of course, exactly what happens. But I just believe in those things. Like I say, if the GM signs a guy as a free agent, he wants him out there to show, hey, this was a smart move. I signed this guy. I picked him up, and he's going to go out there and produce. So, like I say, I also think that season last year, we look at it, he took a step back, but I think there's a big reason why, and I think he is closer. I think he can average 20 a game down there in New Orleans, 20.6 assists. If he can hit 3 threes a game, I think that's within his range. He likes to jack them up around 8 a game, and he's shooting at 37%. So I think that's all in play. And then if he can just get a couple of cheap steals for you as well, that's really going to help. So a little bit streaky, no doubt, that shooting, but a different situation for him. So hopefully he can produce for you.
Yeah, it'll be interesting what they go with in the starting lineup because they have Thomas Satoransky, who was attempted starter with the Bulls last year and the Wizards before that. So I could see Satoransky and Graham starting together, a little defense and offense. Garrett Temple will fight his way into that rotation. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker will probably finish some games, in my opinion, because he can do what all those guys can do in just one body. I believe in Nickeil Alexander-Walker growing. He's got some D. He's got shooting. He's got some playmaking. Yeah, everybody down on the Pelicans. I get it. Zion Williamson is not healthy. It's sad. It's sad that again he's missing time, and there's the story obviously that was kept under wraps for a while that he had a foot surgery. It's all dependent on him, and so hopefully he comes back pretty soon and he sheds some of those lbs. It looks like he's gained recently. I'll throw in another one. I got some Canadian vibes going on right now, I guess. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I believe in him. Precious Achiuwa, not Canadian, Nigerian, but he plays for the Toronto Raptors, going deep in the sleeper app. 236 is his pick. So depending on how deep your drafts are and how many guys, blah blah blah. This guy could, he could be somebody you add and then drop because Chris Boucher is hurt for the Raps and Kem Birch is going to play a lot at the 5, but I think Precious Achiuwa is just going to, like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, force the coach to play him. So that early season would be the time to pick him up because maybe his minutes diminish a little bit, and who knows what the Raps are doing if they're starting all 6'9" guys, and Precious Achiuwa will be perfect for that. So looking forward to seeing how the fantasy season here on Sleeper Game Pick all plays out. Moving to our next question, most improved player. Always a fun one. Unfortunately, Skeets isn't here to get mad about it.
Shocker.
Although
the guy flew across the country to not have to talk about most improved player. That's dedication.
He sent in his pick because he wants to make it official. He picked Nickeil Alexander-Walker as his most improved player. Yeah, we got some Canadian bias going on for sure.
He won't answer the question, but he'll throw in the homer card anyway. I mean, that's pretty game, isn't it? Pretty ballsy to just say, all right, you guys can play the homer card for me.
Yeah, he's not even here to hear you say homer, Leigh. I'm sure he's listening right now. So give him a homer, Leigh.
Homer.
There we go. Okay, Leigh. Now, who's your MIP? Who's your most improved player?
Well, I'm going with the Australian Matisse Thybulle, so he can't return me with the with the homer. But look, the reason I'm picking Matisse Thybulle is because he's a fantastic defender, all defense second team last season. He's got incredible skills on that end of the floor, and he only played 20 minutes. I think part of the reason he only plays 20 minutes is because he doesn't contribute all that much on the offensive end. But I think he's in for an improvement on that end, especially after what I saw from him at the Olympic Games there in Tokyo. He was fantastic for Australia in getting us that bronze medal. He averaged 8 points a game, and get this, he shot 62% from the field. That's what he really needs to do, because last season in the regular season for the Sixers, he only averaged 4 points a game, shot 42%, not too bad, and only 30% from downtown. But in the playoffs, he did increase that slightly, shot 48% from the field, just over 5 points a game, and then he shot 32% from three-point range. So for me, he's got a really big range where if he only averages, say, 12 to 14 or 15 points a game, I think he's going to generate a lot of interest in most improved because he's coming basically from almost no points a game into a high double digits range there. Now, he can do that by running the floor. That's what he did fantastically well for Australia. And just being consistent, knocking down that three-pointer. I think there's going to be opportunity there for him to do it because, as I say, I think Doc Rivers is like, we love this guy on the floor because he can take a defender. He locked down Luka in that bronze medal game there for Australia. Now, Luka was probably a little fatigued, let's be fair, but that's the sort of thing that Matisse Thybulle brings to a team. He's got that ability to really be a lockdown defender. So if he can get out there and stay on the floor and bump that from 20 minutes a game up to as many as 30 minutes a game, he'll be doing that if he's out there, again, just filling the lane, getting tip-ins, running the break, catching oops, and hitting consistent shots from wherever that is on the floor. So, probably falling in love with him a little bit from the Olympics here, but I can really see if he plays the game the right way there and gets out there and runs that break, he can get some easy points. And I think that's what he needs to really strengthen his case for most improved.
All right. Couple homers. We got a Nah. We got a Tybal. Trey, where are you going?
I'm not sure if I'm going to get homered for this one, but I'm taking a Raptor. Just an adopted homer for sure.
Which one?
Anunoby.
Yeah.
OG Anunoby has a chance at most improved player here, basically on the Pascal Siakam case from a few years back. Last season, OG went for a career-high 16 points a game, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, great percentages from the field. 48 field goal percentage, 39 from 3, added a steal and a half. Like you mentioned, Tass, earlier, Pascal Siakam is out to start this season. Chris Boucher as well. With Kyle Lowry gone, there's just a huge opportunity for somebody to step into a scoring role. It looks like OG, even when Siakam and Boucher comes back, is going to be asked to do a little bit more offensively, and it looks like he's capable of doing more. There are moments during the preseason where he looks like Kawhi Leonard, going between the legs a couple of times, hitting a pull-up three. We shall see if he becomes an off-the-dribble three-point shooter, and if he does this season, if he's able to stay close to 39%, if the Raptors are a bit of a surprise team, punching above their weight, getting into the playoff tournament, maybe even getting into the top 6 seeds, I think he could have some all-star buzz. And if that's the case, he could be a most improved player for sure.
That's hot. That's a hot pick. And perfect timing here as we're listening to a bit of a leaf blower if you're really locked into your headphones, because JD threw up. That's Leigh?
It's me. It's me. The guys out here. Honestly, they were here yesterday. They were here the day before. It's like, guys, I know it's fall, but I mean, there can't be that many leaves that you're out there again, hosing around out there. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Hosing.
I don't know how JD's got a camera out there, but he provided us a live look. He provided us some footage there.
That's what it feels like, man. It feels like that.
Well, look at that. Look at that leaf blower. What the hell is that thing?
I hate to admit it, I might be a most improved player as well. I bought a leaf blower and I've been using it.
Wow.
So I don't know if any of my neighbors have been recording podcasts, but I'm surely noise polluting these bad boys around here.
Yeah.
Trey, I just got one too.
Yeah.
You guys.
Listen, it's electric. A. B. It's got whisper technology apparently, but it's loud as hell. But I have to say, I'm 50. I've never used one before. I sweep my patio over here. Usually takes me about a half hour, 3 minutes. Like it took 3 minutes to do it. So,
but see, you're not on You're not on that council money though, JD. Where they've they get paid, so they just drag it out all day long, so they don't have to do anything else.
Right. Yeah, I am my own HOA over here. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, Trey, I finally caved as well. My kids still using the rake though.
Smart,
because
Yeah, exactly. It's fun for a kid, but if you can't beat them, join them. If you can't beat them, blow them. I guess that's what I'm saying here.
It takes so much less time, and that's the thing. I know it's loud. I know some people hate it, but it's not. If you don't pull it out at 6 a.m. or 1 a.m., then it's not a huge deal, because it's not like you're going to be working for, because it's so quick. It's like 10 minutes done. Max.
It is fun. It's super fun too, seeing them fly everywhere. I will say the rake keeps them more contained. That's why leaf blowing can sometimes take a long time. I feel like I blow my leaves from one end of the lawn over to the other end, and then they've gone too far. So now I got to haul them back into the middle of it, and then you got to go for the rake to actually lock these things down and get into a nice pile to jump in.
I hear you. I hear that. It's hard to contain them, but I say blow them if you got them.
Blow them if you got them.
Yeah, the electric. I have one electric one too, JD, and they're loud. They're just loud. You can't.
They're pretty loud. Yeah.
You can't get around it. Anyway, see?
And they're back.
If you're listening right now, here they are.
Back.
What a soundtrack. You think you can fall asleep to a leaf blower? Like, do you think there's
Nah, because I think it's that inconsistent, like high and low, high, low, high, low.
There's not a leaf blower setting on a white noise machine?
Well, no, because that's more the consistent noise. That's the thing, you know. And you know, sometimes when they move a little bit further away, it's a little bit softer, and then it gets really loud when it's just out of your window. So yeah. And it'd be just frustrating that inconsistent noise is what drives you crazy. Keep you awake all night.
It's
All right.
tough out there.
It's tough out there. All right, moving on. Let me jump in with my most improved player pick, because I think it's got a bit of OG Anunoby vibes as well. But the hot pick even last year was Michael Porter Jr. And I think it actually happens this year, because after 2 seasons on the floor, he's only played 2 seasons because he was hurt for his first season. He signed a monster extension this offseason. He's making $30 million over the next 5 seasons, 30 plus. So to me, even when I saw that, I thought, wow, Michael Porter Jr., very good. But they're going to pay Jokic max money, Murray max money. They just extended Aaron Gordon. Is he worth it? He definitely is. He should even improve from last year, which was really good. It kind of goes under the radar how good he was. He was 19 points on 54 from the floor and 44 from 3, which is good enough. But the second half, over 43 games, he got even better. 21 points on 56 and 47 from 3. He was nearly the best 3-point shooter in the game, just behind Joe Harris. That's the most efficient season on shooting numbers when you factor in the 3-point shot for a 23-year-old scoring at least 17 points a game. So I know there's some factors in there, but Sam Vecini pointed that out. I mean, the guy is just ridiculously efficient. Guys have scored more, obviously, at 23 years old, but with those percentages, you're hitting nearly 1 out of 2 3-point shots, and I think it's only going to go up with Jamal Murray sitting out this year. He can be Nikola Jokic's absolute number 1 guy. And he's the perfect partner for Jokic because he just moves off the ball. He just keeps going. So I wonder how high those numbers can go. He is so smooth. I can't get KD out of my head when I watch him play
Totally.
Because he's going to be a 25 points per game guy this year. And he had 19 last year, so I could easily see him winning it, even though he's the favorite, and that's probably not a good thing when it comes to this award. Because they want to be a bit of a surprise. But according to BetMGM, he's the favorite. It seemed like he was the favorite last year. I don't know if anybody else picked him last year, but I think I did. And I'm sure a lot of other people did, because he's got the talent, and he's staying on the floor, and he's playing a little bit of defense, and Jamal Murray's out. So I think he's going to put up some monsters.
Well, the Murray thing is so big, too, because he kind of went out right around the All-Star break last year. So you can look at Michael Porter Jr.'s All-Star or post-All-Star splits, 22 a game, almost 8 rebounds, and he shot 56% from the field. Like, he had a great overall season, but he was lights out once Jamal Murray finally went down. He was a high recruit out of high school as well, potential as a number 1 pick, but he dropped because of the injury concern. So as long as he's able to stay healthy, he's showing the potential that everybody thought he had.
All right, the stream team is getting into it. Sam Unono calling Michael Porter Jr. the Twig. We're looking for nicknames here. I don't think that one's going to stick, but I appreciate the effort. So let's take a quick break. After it, we'll talk the player that needs a nickname and our dumbest bold predictions for the season. We'll be right back.
Yeah, well, I got the Sonos ad read today, and pretty happy to do so, because unlike me, my Sonos is always ready to go. Always prepared, no matter what. I could be cleaning the house, washing the car, even cooking pizzas on the big green egg, and the Sonos One is always by my side. And it's a little less clanky than the old double cassette deck boombox that I used to rock around, but it's twice as cool. You also don't need to load it with like 10D batteries to enjoy it for like 20 minutes, and then the batteries go dead. What I also love about my Sonos One is no matter where I am in the house, it's easy to move around. The sound is consistent. That's really important because, sometimes when you have devices in your house, it's like, I can't listen in this room or the internet's not as good in that room. It doesn't matter with the Sonos. It's always great. And as I mentioned with the 8D batteries, the battery life on this is seemingly unending. Now, it's not. I mean, you do have to recharge it, but I never have to during the day when I'm listening. I always just throw it on the recharger at night, and it's good to go the next day. Because sometimes I have it on for like over 10 hours a day. I'm moving around. I'm cleaning the house. I'm all over the place, and I just take it with me. And I also love the fact that I can listen to current music, like someone like Dua Lipa. I can listen to her, or I can connect to radio stations from anywhere in the world, like Melbourne's own Rock 105 Triple M, what I grew up on. So I can be dancing to some modern music or doing a little bit of headbanging from different, music genres throughout the day. It's fantastic. Depending on what you're doing as well. Like if you want to just chill with the barbecue outside, you want something a little bit more chill. But when you're cleaning the house, it's energetic. So you need that rock sort of music to keep you going,
Right. What's your number one song to clean the house to?
Oh. Probably something from probably Van Halen. Dreams, probably Van Halen. That's what dreams are made of. That's a great song. It's got a really good intro. Yeah. Shout out to Eddie Van Halen. Listen, I've had a million of these portable speakers over the last few years. I'm sure you guys have as well. But none of them have actually lasted more than a few weeks without something going wrong. So when you look up in the cupboard, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that one. Don't have the charger for that one anymore. Why have I even got that one? My wife nicked the other one of those. Yeah, so, I finally got one that actually I can listen to and enjoy, and I know it's going to be reliable. So if you want to rock on like me, go to sonos.com, SONOS.com.
There are some hip companies that have been advertising in podcasts for years. You guys remember them, I'm sure, because they're cool companies. They get it. They're making ads and disrupting their industries before the term disruptor was a thing. Simply Safe is one of those companies. Other home security companies require old, outdated, clunky equipment installed by technicians who are probably listening to Van Halen. Simply Safe is so easy to install, you can do it yourself. You're listening to a podcast, you're tech savvy, you can just hook it up to your home Wi-Fi yourself. It's that easy. And Simply Safe just launched their new wireless outdoor security camera, 1080p, 8x zoom, to make sure you catch those birds eating your tomatoes. It can zoom into license plates, all that stuff. And it's got a rechargeable battery, so it doesn't even need an outlet. And it's got night vision. Rumor has it No Dunks will be using one of these as a camera as part of our new setup this season on our new set. Although hopefully we'll be filming indoors. If we can find a space, TBD. Anyways, U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Home Security System of 2021. To learn more about the exciting new Simply Safe wireless outdoor security camera, visit simplysafe.com/nodunks. What's more, Simply Safe is celebrating this new camera by offering 20% off your entire new system and your first month of monitoring service free when you enroll in interactive monitoring. Again, simplysafe.com/nodunks. You're back with No Dunks. I've teased it plenty. Which player needs a nickname, Trey?
Yeah, I should have taken a look at the doc for today's show yesterday when I pitched my nickname for Anthony Edwards. I should have just saved it, but thankfully, Nick Buccinelli hooked me up with an incredible Photoshop, said, I found a photo of Anthony Mr. Perfect Edwards. Having seen this, I now think it might stick. He was a number 1 draft pick. So that's pretty perfect. He had a great season last year. And as we've seen, he is apparently great at bowling. He was apparently a great baseball player back in his youth days. And who knows what other sports Anthony Edwards might be great at. I would be happy to see them do some sort of interstitial, every 10 home games or something like that. Here's Anthony Edwards being great at another sport. So I'm happy with Mr. Perfect. I'm going to try it on a few other times this year, see if it sticks. But right now I'm loving it.
And we talked about the fashion trend that could happen this year. We talked about the full sunglass face, the real V Stiviano, as you called it, Trey. You see that Photoshop that we just showed you, and I'm sure we'll put it on social media as well. The singlet, wrestling singlet.
A wrestling singlet.
Yeah, a guy can pull that off in the nice blue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice look.
Nicely done, Nick.
I loved Mr. Perfect. He
Yeah.
was so good. So good. Rest in peace to him. All right, Leigh. Which player needs a nickname?
Well, we've talked about the Charlotte Hornets and James Bouknight. How exactly many minutes he's going to get is a little bit of a question. But when he is out there, we know he's going to throw down dunks because that's what he does. He's been awesome. He's already had a couple there. So I think he can become the James Bouknight Rider because at night he's riding his opponents. So, I think the Night Rider, the Bouknight Rider. What about that one? I mean, shout out to David Hasselhoff, but I think it works. I think it fits, and I can see Eric Collins, Knight Rider. So let's hope he plays and gives us that nickname. I think it can stick there.
I think that would be awesome. It would be cool to hear Eric Collins call it, and they could even do like like a little musical sting anytime he has a big play, like dun.
That's right.
Or whatever the Knight Rider theme song is. It was close enough. I don't think I've listened to it for 30 years or so, but
it was a nice pull. It was a nice pull.
That song sort of came back in, or that tune came back into a song. I think about maybe 15 years ago, because it is a theme. Like it's you knew 8:30 on Tuesday nights on Channel 10, Knight Rider. In Australia, anyway.
If you lived in Australia,
in the mid 80s there.
But if he rides someone like John Collins did in the preseason, then Bouknight it. Yeah, put it, mark it down. Book it, Bouknight, Knight Rider. That's good stuff. My guy is Terrence Mann. Now you're thinking, I'm gonna drop something with Mann in the nickname, like Leigh did there with Knight Rider, but. This guy he's Swiss Army knife like. He's kind of got the Boris Diaw thing about him because Doc Rivers played him at the 1 to start his career. He's played some small ball 5. He's like a 6'5" guy, but he plays everywhere. He's more of a shooting guard, small forward, and I know he was kind of a flash in the pan. It seemed like he came on the scene late last year for most of the NBA when he put away the Utah Jazz with 39 freaking points to seal that series in round number 2 when his career high in the regular season was only 23 to that point. He's only making $1.7 million this year. So is he going to stick around? Of course he is. They just signed him to an extension. He's going to be making $11 million in a couple of years, a second round pick. So that's great for him. He's not just a flash in the pan. There's only 2 guys in the 2019 draft that have been extended already, a couple second round picks, and THT, Taylor Horton Tucker, and now Terrence Mann. So he's going to force himself to play because he's just so good. He may take Eric Bledsoe's starting spot. I don't know. With Kawhi, he's definitely going to play a lot. Swiss Army knife is cheap. It's cheesy. Like, it feels dated. It's done. We're in the era of positionless basketball. That's too nerdy. I don't know where you go with that. Like Mr. Versatility could be good. All-purpose flour. I don't know. Like something like if we were asking
AP flour,
sure. Associated Press flour. If we were talking with our friend Joel McMillan, I would say he would call him Jamie Foxx because Joel McMillan thinks Jamie Foxx is the most talented actor out there because he's multi-talented. I think Terrence Mann. He's got the 1 through 5 vibes. I don't have a good nickname. I'm looking for you guys to put it out there. He's not Boris Diaw because he's not like the most interesting man, but he is that Swiss Army knife kind of guy. I don't want to just say that, Dos Equis as a nickname. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's like, it's like Tony Phillips playing baseball as Mr. Utility. It's like that kind of thing for me. But he brings the energy too. I don't know. I don't have a good one, but I don't want to force the man thing either.
Sure.
So we'll see.
I'm trying to think of the most versatile things in my house, and I just keep thinking about a long sleeve T-shirt because you can wear it any time of year. So maybe long sleeve tee, man. I don't think that one will stick, but I like this from EJ Martino. Since Josh Hart is such a good rebounder, what about the heartworm? That's not bad. 8 rebounds a game last year for a 6'5" player. The heartworm.
The heartworm. Yeah.
Because he was nearly beefing, I think, a couple of times last season.
Maybe at like a 17 or an 18 rebound game, something like that.
Yeah.
I do like the long sleeve tee for Terrence, man, because we had JD on the show yesterday saying that his long sleeve no dunks F1 tee is versatile all year round. Is he could wear it, or the sweater. It's not a tee. Sorry, it's a sweater.
Yeah.
That's a fully hoodie that he could wear all year round. A long sleever though.
True. It's true. What about Leatherman? Because the Leatherman. I know there's a different connotation there, but it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife, a Leatherman, and you get the man in there, and Leatherman.
I don't mind it. I've got a Leatherman I take out when I'm fishing. Got some pliers. Got a nail file for some reason, just in case you need to trim things up if you're out there on the lake. I don't mind it.
Nice, JD. Leatherman. All right. Final one here before we wrap it up. What is your dumbest bold prediction for the season? I'll start us off. I've got some dumb ones. And it has been said. I said Ricky Rubio will make his first All-Star team. Yeah, that's dumb.
That's bold.
Yeah, full stop. Yeah, it's bold. You got to be bold here. You got to be stupid. You might ask, who the heck does Ricky Rubio play for? That's fair. He got traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, my thinking was that here he's going to be turning 31 now. This would be his time to do it if Colin Sexton gets dealt. Now, Colin Sexton is their starting point guard. He might get extended even before the deadline here in a few days. So if he's there, then it's not going to happen. But I just want to know who the Cavs are choosing as their building blocks. Because let's say they get rid of Colin Sexton and it's Rubio with guys who desperately need passes like Jared Allen and Evan Mobley and Isaac Okoro. If he's starting with those guys plus Darius Garland, if those who they're building around, and they get a start like they did last year, where they were 10-11. I mean, that's. I know that sounds dumb, but there was some talk about Colin Sexton being an all-star because, he's a great scorer. He's a different player than Ricky Rubio, obviously, but then the team went 12-39 the rest of the way. And I'm not sure how Colin Sexton fits in the future there. 3 years in, is he going to get extended? Ricky Rubio, you might ask, how high has his points per game total ever been? It's not high. It's 13 points per game.
Yeah.
So he would have to be one of those, guys who do it all, 15 points per game, assist type guy. But he'll be good for Kevin Pangos. I'm just on the Canadian bent right now. Kevin Pangos, that's a nickname, easy nickname, Bangos. If he ever plays, he's a point guard who's played abroad for a bit at Gonzaga, I think. So I don't know. I do believe in a lot of the Cleveland front court and Evan Mobley, and I think Rubio would be great with them. But this is the year. This is like Mike Conley part 2, but Mike Conley got a heck of a lot closer, and he finally made it last year. So my dumb pick, Rubio makes the All-Star team. Probably not going to happen. Who can beat that? Or it's something a little bit more feasible. Anybody? Trey, what you got?
Something a little bit more feasible. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think we're going to get 60-plus wedgies this season. Last year, we set the record. Shout out to wedgietracker.com. 58 wedgies in a 72-game season. And it definitely feels like the wedgies have been popping off already in the preseason. We've had maybe 5 already with the new Wilson basketball. Wilson, wedgies, the W's are there. Maybe they made it an extra sticky ball. I think we're going 60 plus this year. We got another 10 games. We've obviously got the playoffs, which count. So it was a special season last year. It will feel crazy if we somehow, get back to that level. But I think it's possible. We're going over 60 this year.
The fix is in.
The fix is in. That's right.
Balls are softer. Something's going on. Yeah, because they're on that pace to obviously obliterate 60. So could happen, I guess. Leigh, what do you got?
So I like to sort of go with the 3-pointers and some sort of record there. And last season, Steph Curry in 63 games alone made 337 threes. For a normal 82-game season, he would have been on pace for around 434, which would have eclipsed his own record he set back in the day of 402. And of course, we're in the 3-point era right now. So last season, Steph was the only guy to make 300 or more threes. But again, it was a shortened season. This season, I'm saying we're going to get 10 guys make 300 or more threes because I looked at the amount of the amount of players who had to average around 3 point. I sort of went down to 3.5 because I think they can all crank that up to 3.6 to get that 300 mark. And I think we're going to get it. I mean, this is like last year for a list of guys who made at least 200 or more. Obviously, Steph and Buddy Hield and Lillard, Duncan Robinson, Terry Rozier, Jordan Clarkson, Tim Hardaway Jr., Zach LaVine even had 200. And then there's so many other guys who would have made 200 or more if they'd played. CJ McCollum only played 47 games, had 169. He was at that 3.6 mark. So there are plenty of guys. Fred VanVleet himself, 3.3 a game, so not quite there, but he only played 52 games and had 174. So I think we're going to have 10 guys make 300 or more three-pointers this season. Is that crazy? Yeah, I don't know if it feels crazy or it's like that's just where the game's going anyway.
What is the most that has hit 300 threes in a season? You know what I'm saying? How many players? Has it ever been 10 or more?
300? No. I in fact, it's I think it's Steph and then Clay did it. In fact, I don't even think anyone else has actually hit 300 or more in a season other than Steph, if I remember correctly.
Well, then this would be very bold.
Yes, very, very. But, when you're getting guys like Duncan Robinson, for example, I think he's almost a lock to do it this season because that's all he does, again, guys need to play pretty much the full 82 games and hit that 3.6 mark to do it. But there's going to be guys, as we see, there's always someone who just pops up for 10 here and there, and guys do it. So, okay, AJ Santiago here is saying James Harden did it. So that obviously makes sense. And he's the only other one to do it. So
three guys
done it 4 times, Harden
Yeah.
once. And Harden also had 299 one season.
Yeah.
Tough one.
Yeah. So,
That's bold to get to 10. Wow.
10, yeah, that'd be huge.
Yeah, Dame hasn't done it, surprisingly. 275 looks like his high, so that's a lot of threes.
Yeah.
Right there. All right. That's fun. Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Good run here in preview number 4. We got preview number 5 coming up tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And looking forward to No Buffs tonight with Trey, Jason, and JD. It's going to be a hot one.
Going to be a great one. We had a great episode last night. 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. Join the tribe. Get your torch snuffed.
Yeah, No Buffs. It's its own podcast feed, its own YouTube feed. And I do agree. It's a good time to get in.
It's a good time to get in. That's right.
If you can watch yesterday's episode,
You watched
curveball.
last night, Leigh? Are you
nah.
Still waiting for the playoffs.
I'm
Casual.
waiting for JD to tell me when the right time to get in.
Okay.
It was a perfect storm last time. There was nothing else on TV. There was nothing else to watch. It was like, great, I can look forward to this. But now there's so many other distractions. I'm like, no, it's just not quite the same. Doesn't quite have me here. But we'll see. We'll see as the season unfolds.
It may be a good time this week, though, for going into next week because there's probably a merge happening. Am I right? I mean, not to No Buffs it, but this got to be
getting closer.
Yeah, I don't know. There's 13 left. I think they're going to wait till for 12, and all 3 tried. No, well, let's not talk about it.
No,
here
I know. I was
going
to.
People are saying no spoilers, so
yeah.
But I think it's possible we'll get a merge next week, but I think it's more likely the week after. Okay. That's my 2 cents.
You guys are the experts. I just was looking at the numbers, and won't go deeper into the numbers than there are 13 left. But because of one situation that's happening that was entertaining, that there could be a merge coming up, and now the tribes go. No, and after that happens, no one cares about the tribe names anymore, right? The tribe names are done.
They'll still have a tribe.
Yeah.
They just rebrand them, like Trey said.
Oh, interesting. I forgot about that. Okay, cool. Let me get. I forgot about Skeet's dumb bold prediction because I know he wants to get this in because it relates to yours, Leigh. Someone hits 15 3-pointers in a game to eclipse Clay's record. I think it's kind of said. People hope that happens year to year. And then he wrote Also, this is the year Tim Hardaway Jr. scores 50 points in a game.
Yeah.
Classic stuff.
Yeah, you know
Classic.
Tim Hardaway is going to have, whether it's the first or second half, he's going to have 35-point halves. A couple of those, but the final box score will say 38 points. So, you know.
This might be the year.
Yeah.
Join us for No Buffs. Join us for preview number 5 on Friday. But first, speaking of classic, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us, and sorry to my neighbors and sorry to all the podcast recorders out there, but I got blows. I got blows.
Embrace the No Buffs, people.